Hi there YouTube friends, welcome back to another episode of Auntie A's Kitchen. My name's Amanda and I love sharing with people simple and delicious recipes that you can cook here in South Korea using South Korean ingredients. If this is your first time here and you're new to the channel, hi there, 안녕하세요, welcome to everybody. I really appreciate your support. It's a beautiful sunny day today, the snow is melting, maybe spring is finally here in South Korea. And I'm excited to share with you an English traditional Millionaire Shortbread recipe. This is my all-time favorite cake. It has a wonderful combination of both flavor and texture, sweet and salty, crunchy and soft. I have fond memories as a child going down to the local bakery and buying a slice of this. It's also called caramel shortbread or caramel slice. It has 3 layers. The bottom layer is a traditional English shortbread, which is nice and crunchy. You have that middle layer of a soft caramel that just melts in your mouth and a top layer of chocolate. Each layer complements the other layer. Now this is a very rich cake, which is where it gets its name from, Millionaire Shortbread, the richness of each layer combined together. It is incredibly delicious and I'd be interested to know what is your favorite cake. Leave a comment below. So let me show you today how we make Millionaire Shortbread in South Korea.
We need to use melted butter for the shortcake, so I get it melted first as I want it to have time to cool down a little before adding it to the other ingredients. For those of you who are cooking in South Korea, I do recommend this unsalted butter from Home Plus. You can use a regular white sugar, but I think this light brown sugar that you can get from both Emart and Home Plus works really well. Next, I throw in about a teaspoon of salt. You need this to cut in and balance out the sweetness of the caramel and chocolate in the layers above. Once you've added all of your dry ingredients, measure out your butter, which should have cooled down a little, and then add this to the other ingredients into your mixer. I want to share a quick tip with you. When you mix up the ingredients to make your shortbread, it should have the consistency of wet sand. As you can see, in mine there was a clump of mixture, which meant I needed to add a little bit more flour. So I add some flour and then mix again, and the consistency was then perfect. Depending on the oven dish that you are using, I recommend lining it with some baking paper or foil. I'm using a quick release tin, so I just line the bottom with some baking paper. Today I'm making one bigger and one smaller Millionaire Shortbread, as I would like to show you the different sizes. I love making these smaller ones as they're great to give away as gifts. I kept some of that leftover butter so that I could then grease both of my tins, as this will help to release our Millionaire Shortbread once it is finished. Make sure your oven at this stage is preheating 180°C. Empty your shortbread into the tin. If you are using a shallow tin like I am with my smaller one, don't fill too high. Remember, we still have 2 more layers to put on top. With the back of a spoon, just flatten down your mixture into all the edges of your tin. Then with a fork, press holes into your shortbread. This process is called docking, and this helps the steam from the melted butter to escape and will help your biscuit to be more crunchy. If I was making just shortbread biscuits at this stage, I would sprinkle some brown sugar on top. Place into your preheated oven for about 20 minutes until the edges are golden brown. Once out of the oven, place them onto a cooling rack until your tin is cool to touch. The shortbread has cooled down, so now I can get on with making my caramel. This is real easy to make and only 3 ingredients. Some dark brown sugar, butter, and some condensed milk. Timing is crucial when making caramel, so make sure all of your ingredients are measured out before you start. You can get condensed milk from both Emart and Home Plus. If you can't get any, don't worry, just check out this video here where I show you how to make caramel without condensed milk. For the perfect balance of flavour and texture in your Millionaire shortcake, your shortcake is the thickest layer, your caramel is a thinner layer, and your chocolate will be the thinnest layer. In a pan, on a medium-low heat, melt your sugar and butter. Once your sugar is melted, then add your condensed milk and keep stirring continuously. Caramel is fun to make, but you need to keep an eye on it at all times as it can suddenly burn if you're not careful. Please also be careful not to get any of this on your skin as it will give you a nasty burn. As you can see, I keep stirring, and if I feel it is bubbling too much, then I lift it off the heat and I use this time to check the consistency. I want a thick sauce, but you also need to remember it will thicken more as it cools down. The caramel is looking perfect, so it's time to pour it onto our shortbread. As you can see, once inside the tin, I then pick up my tin to tilt it to make sure that the caramel not only covers the shortbread, but fills the tin right up to the edge. I repeat this procedure with my smaller baking tin. Remember, as I said earlier, I need to fit 3 layers into the tin, so if you are using a shallow or a smaller tin like me, make sure to leave some room for your final thin layer of chocolate. I have some leftover caramel, so I quickly place it into my bigger baking tin and use a spoon to level out. The final thing to do is to tap your baking tins on a surface to remove any air bubbles. Then place this onto a cooling rack and allow to cool down. There are two ways to melt your chocolate. The first way is to put it in your microwave. Just place it into a microwave safe bowl, heat up for 30-second intervals and stir in between. Keep doing this until it's melted. The second way, as I'm doing today, is to use a double boiler, which is just simply a bowl over boiling hot water. I recommend using a glass bowl or a heat-proof bowl and not a metal bowl as I am using because it gets hot. If you only have a metal bowl like me, then use an oven glove to stop you from getting burnt. Keep moving your chocolate around until it completely melts and looks nice and silky. Pour your chocolate into your baking tin on top of your caramel and then with a spoon level out your chocolate, making sure that your caramel is completely covered. Repeat this procedure with your smaller baking tin. Now if you are using a baking tin that has indents or a pretty design like the smaller one I am using, spend some time and make sure to fill the chocolate into each area, as this will make the final presentation look beautiful. Once you have finished covering with your third layer of chocolate, place back onto your cooling rack until the chocolate is at room temperature, then into your fridge for a couple of hours to set. If you are using a quick release baking tin like me, I recommend using a glass to remove your Millionaire shortbread. If you use baking paper and foil, then just lift it out of your oven-proof dish and then remove the foil and baking paper. Because I didn't melt the chocolate properly, you can see some chocolate bits in my surface. If you would like a more smooth surface, then just make sure to melt your chocolate thoroughly. For the perfect clean cut, I recommend using a hot knife and leaving your Millionaire shortbread out at room temperature before cutting, as this will make it a lot easier. Scoring your chocolate will also stop it from cracking when you cut it. Cut up your Millionaire shortbread into whatever size you would like, but as I said in the introduction, it is a rich cake, so I recommend not cutting the slices too big. Depending on the temperature of your apartment, store in an airtight container in your fridge or on the counter. So here we have a traditional English, mouth-watering, delicious Millionaire shortbread. Crunchy and soft, sweet and salty, it goes perfectly with a cup of tea, coffee or a glass of milk and guaranteed to bring a smile to your face. Don't take my word for it, please now go and make this for your family and friends and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching today, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great week, God bless, Ciao på Canada.